Alright, good morning everyone. So here we're going to talk about simplifying zeros. This I felt like we were going to do after the test just because I felt like this would have just been an overwhelming piece to add right before our test and everything, so that's why we're going to do this on Friday, again after your test, so that way this will give you good extra practice as well, just in case if your test did not go well on Thursday here, then I feel like this is really good review one last time to help you out with retaking maybe on Monday and Tuesday before the trimester ends. But here we're talking about simplifying with zeros and basically finding our pairs that we can put together to create zero. So here it's just talking about zero in mathematics wise. So if two quantities are added and the sum is zero, what do you know about the quantities? Well, we know that they have to be the opposite of each other. So the idea, if I have negative 5 plus 5, that would equal 0. Same with like negative 6 plus 6 is 0, or negative 8 plus 8 is 0. So we know the two quantities have to be the opposites of each other when you add them together to get 0. If you add 0 to a number, does it change the number at all? And the answer is no. If I have $5 and don't get any more than $5, I still have $5. Or again, I have $4 and I ask you for nothing, I still just have $4 each time. So 0 does not affect any number or anything because it has no value. But we do have to have the 0 to show that we have nothing, so that's why we have 0 is the replacement of saying, hey, we've got nothing going on. Here, if you multiply a number by 0, what do you know about the product? Well, hopefully everyone remembers this one, that anything times 0 is 0. So like 3 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0. So no matter what or how many numbers you have, every time you multiply by 0, in any case, it's automatically 0. And what is the opposite of 0? Well, 0 is the opposite of 0. You can never have negative 0 because, again, you're giving 0 a value and it is not worth anything. 0 is just supposed to be a representation of we have nothing on us or nothing in our hands, like we have no money, we have no apples, we have no candy, so on and so forth. So the opposite of 0 is just 0. If three numbers have the product of 0, what do you know of at least one of the numbers? Well, if we get a 0, we know, so here if I have 6 times 8 times 0, that this whole thing has to be 0, so at least one of the three numbers has to be 0. Same with, we could have 9 times 100 times 0, and again, that 0 will automatically give us nothing every single time. So those are just some mathematical things we know about 0 and what can it do to a problem depending on if you're adding or subtracting it versus multiplying it here. So at the bottom, and this is something we talked about here on Tuesday, so this past Tuesday here, is that we have our positive tiles and negative tiles, and that's how we are going to create our 0 pairs today. So again, just knowing that the filled in pieces are positive and the open or clear pieces are negative, so those are their opposites. So moving on here to, I'm just going to skip this part and we'll just go straight to here of building an expression and also what I'm looking for on your homework here today. So here it looks like, what if I have here like this an x, and I'll say this is a positive x because I can't really shade this in so much, or maybe I'll make little squiggle lines here and stuff like this, but this is my positive x because it's shaded in. Here I will have a negative x, and this is also a negative x. I've got a shaded piece, not shaded, not shaded, shaded here, and not shaded there. So how your homework really works today is I'm going to ask you to write down what is the original expression that we see here. So it's pretty much just saying like, hey, what do we have going on? And well, for my positive x's, it looks like I have one of those. And then for my negative x's, it looks like I have -2 of those. And for my positive 1 tiles, I have 2 of those. For my negative tiles, I have 1, 2, 3 of those. So on your homework, it will say something like, what is the original? So I'll just write ORG here. So this is our original equation of what is sitting here. And then it's going to ask you to simplify this. And so what it means by to simplify is to find our 0 pairs. Because this is right here, if this is -1 and this is 1, well, 1 minus 1 or 1 plus -1 will just equal 0. Same with over here, this would just equal 0. And same with here, that would just be 0. So it's the idea of we're making our 0 pairs here to simply tell me what's left over. Well, we have a -x and then minus a 1 here. So that is the simplified expression with also writing the original as well. And I'll do one example on your homework so that way you know exactly what I'm looking for. So flipping on to again another example here is, what if I build this here? If I have an x squared, I'm going to shade it in like this here, so that's a positive tile. Then what if I have this next, which I'll say this is a -x, and here, so on. Because again, you remember we can draw this however we want and stuff. So that's why I'm kind of going all over the place here in an open square. So again, I'm going to ask you to write me the original. So it's kind of like writing the original is like, what is the area of the shape? So tell me exactly what's happening. Well, it's like, okay, well, I have a positive x squared and I have plus 2 x's from right here. And it looks like I have a -x, I have a +1, and then a -1 is from what I can see here. So if I ask you to simplify this, then it's the idea of make your 0 pairs. So again, like this would be 0 and this right here would be 0. What are you left with? Well, I'm left with an x squared plus an x, which is left over. You can also tell from the original here, even if you make your 0 pairs, we can also see like, hey, that's definitely coming down. Well, 2 minus 1 is definitely 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So that's just another way to make sure that we're doing this correctly. Again, on the back side here, or still at the front side, we have the next example of something I could give you is, let's say for instance, we've got, let's see here, I'm just going to come up with something. And let's see here. I'm going to not draw that this is a X tile. With the rectangle, I'm hoping we're starting to notice that I don't always have to label it, but those are positive tiles and here are some negative tiles. And we could tell because they're rectangles. I know not the best rectangles in the world, but again, we could tell these are squares and here are my rectangles. Hopefully you can tell that these are the X's and those are the ones. So again, on your homework, I'm going to ask you to write the original. So originally, what are you seeing on the board here? And it's like, okay, well, I'm seeing at least +2. Then I'm also seeing a -3 here. But I'm seeing a +3 x's and then also a -3 x's. So if I were to simplify this here, I would think, okay, that makes 0, that makes 0, that's 0, that's 0, and that's 0. Well, what are you left over with? We're left over with a -1. And that is possible to have on your paper, and that is totally okay. So hopefully that makes sense of simplifying with 0. It's just the idea of you're connecting a negative tile and a positive tile together to turn that into 0. Because again, this is like +1 minus -1, and that would tell us that this is 0, or 1 minus 1 is 0, or you can even say -1 plus 1 again is 0 the whole time. So that's pretty much what you are doing on this part. So to quickly show you your homework here, this is what I mean by I want you to write the original and then simplified version. So it's like here, and again, I wrote this up here so that way you can see that, hey, here are my tiles. Again, still tell us the shaded stuff is the positives, the not shaded stuff is the negatives here. So my original is, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like I have 5 positive tiles and then 2 negative tiles. If I simplify that, again, the idea is here's a 0, here's a 0. What am I left over with? Oh, I'm left over with 3 positive tiles, and that's what we have going on here. And again, just think, connect your zeros, so by circling them to say, yep, that's 0, what's left over. On the back side, again, it's just with us working with area and perimeter. Don't forget when it's on the x side like this, that this would be an x minus 1 because it's attached there. Same, notice that pattern here and here as well. And at the bottom, again, it's just combining like terms, so simplify, like how many x's do I actually have, or how many 1s do I have, how many x squares, so on and so forth. Just make sure that we know this part and everything. But again, I feel like this is really good review for those of you who want to retake your test on Monday and Tuesday. By doing this, I feel like this is, again, a really good review one last time before I give you the retake and everything. Otherwise, remember just to talk to me about a retake and stuff, just because we're so close to the end of the trimester. So please make sure you reach out to me as soon as possible with that, just so we can fix your grades before it is too late. Otherwise, have a happy Friday.